How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge. I am host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Now, we all know that there is no get-rich-quick scheme when it comes to growing a personal brand on Instagram or social media as a whole, for that matter. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes a lot of hard work, and a lot of consistency. But as entrepreneurs, as creative individuals, there are certain things we can do, not to get rich quick, but to give ourselves the best opportunity to succeed in a shorter period of time, because that is possible. You could be lazy, you could not implement certain tactics and just do things wrong, which are going to cause you to have a much slower journey in comparison to someone that does implement the tactics, does learn from others, does improve themselves on a day-to-day basis. It's quite obvious which of those two people is going to succeed at a quicker rate. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to grow a huge following overnight. It just means you are giving yourself the best opportunity to do so. And that's why in today's podcast episode, I'm going to be talking through 4 simple Instagram growth hacks, ones that anybody can do if you have the right mindset and if you want to actually put the work in. If you don't want to put the work in, by all means, you're going to have a slower growth than the person that does implement these tips. So stick around, and without any further ado, let's dive straight into the first tip. Number 1. A big part of social media is your ability to be reactive to certain trends, certain topics, certain things that tend to be performing really, really well at a certain point in time. At the moment, as of recording this podcast, it's Reels, especially on Instagram. TikTok have taken that form of content by storm. Other platforms are now thinking, right, how can we react in order to keep our market share for that style of content? Hence, Instagram released Reels as a result. But you will see if you create Reels, your reach on a Reel in comparison to other content you produce is ridiculous. It's phenomenal at the moment. The barrier to entry on Reels at the moment is very, very low. So as a content creator, as an entrepreneur, you need to be thinking, right, this is my opportunity. This is where I can sort of take action and reap the rewards because I have taken action before anyone else has. You have to be reactive. You have to jump on these trends. If there's certain memes or certain updates or anything that becomes a trend, you need to be on that as soon as possible, because that is where that exposure is at that moment in time. If you want that exposure, you have to react. If you don't react, someone else is going to beat you to it, and therefore they are going to receive that exposure opposed to you if you were the one to react to it first. So being that first individual to realize a trend that is coming on, to see the certain types of content that are performing well, and anything along those lines, just being able to grab that as soon as you see it and run with it. Because if you are an individual that is able to do that and notice these things, and you compare yourself to someone that doesn't, you will grow quicker than them. It's as simple as that. Social media is all about attention. You should be looking at where the attention is coming from and going, right, that's working, I'm going to implement that strategy. Oh, that's not working anymore? Push that one away, bring in a new strategy. It's as simple as that. You need to be reactive, you need to be ready to pivot, and you need to be ready to jump on those trends as soon as they arise. So, tip number 1, be reactive to trends, be reactive to those content types, those updates, anything that is causing a rise in exposure. You need to be ready to pivot, to jump on that as soon as you see it happening. So, moving on to tip number 2. Now, when you look at social media as a whole, especially when you're starting out, you can learn so much from other creators. And this is something you should be taking advantage of. You should be looking out at these other creators, your peers, your competitors, whatever you may want to call them, and going, right, I need to analyze these individuals that have built incredible personal brands for themselves, because that's what I want to do as a creator, and implement certain strategies that they've been using that have led to their success. If you are going in completely blind with every post you create, how you structure your page, how you interact with others, then it's down to you to continuously go through that trial and error process in order to see what works. When a competitor of yours who may have started at a very similar time, one is doing that too, but they're also analysing those people that have built what they want to build as well and have noticed certain things that haven't worked, and therefore they are catering their actions accordingly and going, right, that doesn't work, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, that post that they posted about that subject or the content format they've used there, oh, they're doing this on stories, oh, this is something that upped their exposure. They're looking at these things, they're picking apart as to why that did so well and increased their exposure, and consequently their brand profile increased. And they're going, right, now I'm going to implement that into my strategy. You need to be doing that. You need to analyze the best. You need to learn from the best. All of that data and all of that knowledge is there for you to consume. It's stupid if you don't. Going in and going blind and going, right, I want to do this by myself, that's great. You learn and you will fail and you won't make those mistakes again, and you might find things that work really, really well. And you should be doing that. But you should also be analysing and learning from the best. It's silly if you don't, in my opinion. These people have achieved what you are aspiring to achieve. So why would you not look at these individuals and go, I want to pick apart what they've done, find out why it worked, and then consequently I can implement those certain things into my strategy? It'd be damn right idiotic if you didn't do that. You're making it 10 times harder for yourself. So analyze the best. Go onto their page, scroll to the very bottom. It's very unusual, especially in the education space, for people to delete posts. They like to see how far they've come. People can scroll back, and it's almost social proof, them leaving all of their different posts. But this really helps you as a creator that is new or up and coming in the space. You can go back through all of their content. You might see where they've changed their style or implemented a certain post strategy, or they've started talking about certain topics. You can go each post one by one and see what changes from each post to post, and then go, okay, look, they've changed this here and they changed it to this topic or this style, and it worked from that point onwards and they didn't change it. So by looking at that, I can see, okay, that is something I should be taking and implementing into my own content, because that's going to allow me to succeed at a faster rate. Oh, they've implemented that style, or they brought in those brand colours, or they started talking about certain topics using a certain format. Again, take that, implement it. It takes out that 2 or 3 weeks of you trying and testing certain strategies to find out if it works for you, and sort of puts you 3 weeks ahead of those people that don't learn from others. So you want to streamline, you want to learn from the best. They have done it, you want to achieve it, so listen to them. Listen to what they have to say, because they know what they're doing. So tip number 2, learn from the best, analyze their results. Simple as that. Tip number 3, and this is one that I never really realised until I actually started doing it. It's something that's so commonly said, but many just sort of brush it away and go, oh yeah, whatever, so many people say this. But it's invested in your business and in yourself. That personal and business development is going to be what sets you apart from the rest. Invested in courses, invested in coaches, consistently reading, so that you continue to grow your knowledge and expertise on the topic that you are actually speaking about. As a creator, especially in the space I'm in education and social media marketing, I have to stay ahead of my competition. I have to be keeping up to date with changes to the algorithm, changes to certain platforms, new tactics, old tactics. Doesn't always have to be new, just consistent things that have been there within the social media marketing space. I need to be aware of these things, because these are the things that I'm teaching to my audience. I don't want someone else to come in and start creating content that's better than mine. Obviously, there's going to be people that do, and you just can't really do anything about that other than try and improve yourself personally so that you can get back on track. But that personal and business development investment is going to really progress you forward. You should be learning from the best. It sort of takes in the previous point and going, right, they've achieved that, so I want them to teach me. I'm going to pay them to coach me. That's going to fast track your success because they will teach you their secrets. They will teach you everything they know. You can implement all of it. Progression. Done. Don't just try and learn about a topic through trial and error. Buy a few books on it. Read the books, consume the books, write notes, learn the knowledge, then talk about it. Yes, you're going to learn stuff by just doing it, but learning about it through a book and someone that obviously is an expert in it because they've written a book about it, that's not any harm to you at all. And a book is what, £10-15, depending on what book you buy. It's the smallest investment you make, but the actual benefit you receive from that investment is phenomenal. So yes, you want to be growing your following and your audience on social media, but if you aren't growing yourself and your business, then you're going to be left behind. What good is having 20,000 followers if your knowledge level has stayed stagnant throughout because you haven't invested in your own personal development? And it doesn't just have to be in business, it's just life in general. Meditation coach, lifestyle coach, personal trainer, any of these things that are optimizing your performance as an individual so that you can perform better within your business and your personal brand or whatever you may be doing is an investment well spent. So tip number 3, stay ahead of your competition by consistently investing in yourself and in your business, because they are the best investments you can ever make, especially the investment in yourself, because that's you. You are yourself. You are that individual. You have the power to change anything you do. But you're not going to be able to change anything if you don't actually invest in yourself and improve yourself in the first place. So invest in yourself. You will not regret it. It's the best investment you will ever make. Hands down. Now, finally, tip number 4, the final Instagram growth hack. And this is one we talk a lot about on this podcast, but I had to put it in there. Need to be consistent with my message so I can constantly drum this into your brain so that you do not forget it. Engagement, engagement, engagement. Engagement is going to be one of the things, especially when you're first starting out, that really propels who you are as a personal brand and your exposure. You need to think about it this way. Every comment or DM or like you leave on a post is a piece of personal promotion for free, because people are going to see your comments. People are going to respond to your DMs, and you're going to embed yourself in the forefront of their minds because you are consistently leaving this engagement on their posts. You are consistently DMing them. They are just always aware of you. And when you're starting out, nobody knows who you are. The algorithm doesn't know who you are. The community doesn't know who you are. Your potential customers don't know who you are. And if you just continue to think that these people are going to find you through posting consistent content, that's never going to happen, because when you're first starting out, the algorithm doesn't work like that. It's not going to push your content to a wider group of people because no one's seeing it in the first place, and therefore it's not keeping anybody on the platform. Instead, you have to have that consistent engagement strategy very, very early on to get that page off the ground so that people do come aware of you. The algorithm sees that you are consistently engaging and people come and then engage with you. You are engaging with your potential clients. They find your content, see that you are an expert in your niche, and potentially reach out for your product or service. All of these things initially are going to happen because of your engagement. And then as soon as the Instagram algorithm begins to learn who you are, you're getting a lot of consistent engagement from your audience on your posts. That is when you will begin to see that organic reach that you didn't see before. But without the engagement in the first place, that's never going to happen. So, biggest growth hack, and it's the one that most people don't really listen to because it's a lot of effort. It is a lot of effort. Engagement isn't easy. It's not just a case of leaving a thumbs up and a fire emoji with every comment. You have to read through every single post, leave something that's genuine, thoughtful, and value-adding to that piece of content every single time. If you're not going to do that, don't bother commenting, because it's just not going to work. People aren't going to read that comment and go, oh, I'm going to see what this guy has to say. I'm going to go and look at his account. It's not how the page visits work. People want to read your comment and see that you're adding value. That's going to trigger that thing in their mind that goes, okay, this person clearly knows what they're talking about on this topic, so I'm going to click through and see their page. And then as soon as they see your page, there you go. But that piece of self-promotion has come through that comment, and it's free. It's not like you're having to pay for ads. The more you engage, the more exposure you're going to get, especially early on. It's as simple as that. It's a numbers game. So yes, it's work. Yes, it's not easy. Yes, it's time consuming. Yes, it can sometimes be a bit tedious, but I hope the page you have created and the niche you've picked a topic that you thoroughly enjoy talking about. If you thoroughly enjoy talking about your topic and your niche, then engagement's going to be a piece of cake for you because you love talking about it. So anybody that wants to have a conversation on that topic, you're going to want to respond every single time. You're going to want to read their content and learn and engage as a result. So it all comes down to picking your niche to begin with as to whether you will enjoy engaging or not. So hopefully you've picked a niche you enjoy, because then the engagement is easy. But it's a simple tip. I mention it all the time on this podcast. I've got a ton of episodes about engagement strategies, why you need to engage, the benefits of engagement, how to increase the engagement on your posts. Listen to those podcast episodes if you want to learn more. But engagement is really, really, really important. So make sure you are doing it. And that wraps up my 4 very simple Instagram growth hacks. And that does wrap up today's video. As you can see, I'm a very, very new creator here on YouTube, so every little helps when it comes to smashing that subscribe button, hitting that like button, and turning on post notifications. But I did just want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School. So if you did enjoy what you watched today, the audio version of the podcast is the place to be. Why? Because I actually released these episodes a few days earlier on the audio version of the podcast and then a couple of days later here on YouTube. So if you want to be consuming this podcast a couple of days sooner, make sure you're subscribing on the audio version. I will leave some links in the description, so just head down below and make sure you hit subscribe. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything I've mentioned in today's video, please just reach out to me on Instagram at @themarketingethan. Send me a DM and I'll make sure I get back to you no matter what. But I just want to finish off by saying, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.